Hello and welcome everyone for this panel discussion for the reputed magazine knowledgereview.com. The Knowledge Review is an educational magazine getting circulated in around 700 universities. It is one of the um, first five magazines or the university magazines in India. Um, and we are today having this panel discussion with the industry experts, and the main objective of this panel discussion is to raise awareness in the university students across India about the digital transformation. So the today's topic is about digital transformation, data and AI challenges and the opportunities. And the esteemed panel I have with me is on my right hand side, Mr. Deepak Chandani. He has more than 20 years of experience. He has already been CTO with UBS. Currently, he is with the British Petroleum heading data analytics and BI. Then our next panel is also having more than 20 years experience, Mr. Amiteshwar Sweet. He is yeah, he is also leading the data analytics AI for the Asian region. And next we have is Arvind Purohit, who is a key account partner and holding strategic accounts. He also leads data analytics AI for the Asian region. Now, I'm your host for the evening. I'll representing the knowledge review side. I do work in a Standard Chartered. So let's begin. I don't want to take your time much in the introduction, and I'll just straight away go to the topic. See, many people talk about digital transformation. And if I go to the definition of digital transformation, which Wikipedia gives, it's about it's an adoption of digital technology by a company to achieve a common goals for its implementation to improve efficiency, value, and innovation. And if I go to the experience that I have in the banking or telecom sector, the practical definition talks about is optimization of process, effective use of data, building and leveraging the digital solutions to enhance value. And I don't have to say much more, because if I had to just begin with one example where we used to have this Polaroid camera, and everybody knows that Polaroid lost its market to digital technology, because somebody has taken a digital picture, and digital picture can be saved and taken multiple times, and Polaroid and the other people who were having a printed cameras lost their market because they couldn't capture the digital trend. Now, on that basis, I'll base my first question to the panelist. Okay, and I'll first go to um, Deepak. So, Deepak, why we need um, to adopt the digital transformation, and what will be the impact if we don't um, adopt it, or the adverse, or any thought process that you want to put around it?
Thank you so much, Viren. Thank you so much. And hi, Amiteshwar. Hi, Arvind. Very happy to be part of this panel. Uh, I think, as you mentioned, Polaroid, I'll also give the example of, Sony Walkmans. Yeah. So I grew up during those days, and, having a Sony Walkman was a treasure. And no one can now find a Sony Walkman. In fact, a teenager of this age may not even seen it. Yeah. Similar is a case with CD drives, DVDs, etc. So the we can see like unlimited businesses where digital transformation have created, unlocked, open a lot of doors for new opportunities. And if the business didn't change, then they don't exist anymore. Few of the things where I feel why businesses needs to change, as you mentioned, Virend, is if I have to think, then I will say internet has become available almost everywhere. The reach of internet has created organizations like Amazon, which have changed the way businesses are. The world has become more connected. The outreach has become easier. And just think of it, the way shipping expectations for recommendations from Amazon is, everybody is expecting the similar thing, and that's all because of the digital transformation which has happened over a period of time in these various companies. Yeah. So I will say internet played a big role. I was actually going in my car this morning and I saw a Rambo circus, you know, and nobody was there in that circus. And I was thinking, oh my God, during my childhood when I was growing, and I did ask my teenage son, do you want to actually experience how a Rambo circus works? He said, Daddy, what is Rambo circus? It's better to watch something on Netflix or some other thing. So everything from entertainment to the way you buy things have been completely transformed. So if the businesses are not looking into going digital, changing the way their processes, the way they connect with their customers, then they will not be there. So I think that's one part which I will say, is imperative for the business to adopt change to this digital lifestyle, which has been created because of the internet being available. I think second part which I can talk about is uh, the there is a growing need for brand awareness and a global consolidation. So bigger companies, they gobble up the smaller companies for certain skills and all. Say for example, Siri was a small company, Apple acquired it, and the whole voice related thing became part of Apple. There's various examples you can look around, what Google is doing, what Apple is doing. So they may not be there, but the tendency is that the smaller companies are either getting acquired, or the smaller brands are perishing fast. And why the bigger brands can take bigger value is because they have created a successful model, and because the outreach is easier. A Chinese bank can operate in India and then look at 1.3 mm, billion people as a customer base. So this would not have been possible 20 years back or 30 years back. So I think that's a brand consolidation and a global consolidation which is happening. So that's another part where locals are getting a lot of competition from bigger players. And then I think the last part which I will say is the users have expectations have become very large. So a typical 15-year-old, whether the age is or a 50-year-old or 70-year-old person, they expect the companies to know everything what's going on. It should be like serve me better kind of a thing. I need everything what I have done in the past, you should know. Suggest me what I should be treating it. So the expectations from the companies in this digital world has been taken all to the new level. So and because it's a connected world, it's a mobile world. If you do not catch up with those trends, there's very high chance that the companies will be going away from business very soon. And then no longer you should look into your service now tickets. If you're not watching Twitter on how people are interacting, telling about your product, that company seriously is missing something in their digital strategy.
Yeah. Okay, I think Deepak has quite comprehensively covered a few of the things. One was he was talking about value, another he was talking about brand, third he was talking about faster delivery, fourth he was also talking about acquiring new customers, then the awareness and information of the youth. Let me go to Amiteshwar because he has a very strong background in telecom and healthcare. And if something, the same question comes to you, Amiteshwar, in this market where we are talking about more than $990 billion market of digital transformation in 2020, which is going to grow three times, four times bigger in next 5 years. How do you think, if somebody has to challenge you why to do digital transformation in healthcare and telecom, what would be your response?
Thanks, thanks, Virendra. So essentially, digital transformation is a industry-wide phenomenon, right? I mean, uh, if you look at almost a decade ago, or maybe 15 years ago, uh, the Googles of the world, the Facebooks of the world, and all the digitally born native players really didn't have this kind of an impact as what they have today. Neither did they have the kind of market capitalization that they have today. There are new business models that have been built around the Ubers of the world, the Airbnbs of the world, and all, and that's all. Digital has made that a possibility. But specifically around telecom industry and healthcare industry, let me start with telecom first. Telecom is an industry that has been under pressure for more than a decade. This is an industry where, despite the overall number of connections increasing, the uh, the revenues and the profitability have decreased. There is significant amount of spend from the telecom companies in the infrastructure, and because of that, there's an increased burden of debt. Uh, with decreasing revenues and decreasing profitability, they have been finding it extremely difficult to go ahead and keep their companies afloat. Now, there's a degree of consolidation required, there's a degree of additional spend required on 5G from an infrastructure perspective. And clearly, this is an industry that requires more dollars, it requires more capital to be infused. Where is that going to come from? So, digital transformation becomes an imperative in this industry. Digital transformation is something that is going to allow telecom companies to expand their service portfolios and to offer new suites of digital services, addressing new vertical markets. And all this is going to lead to a higher increase in revenue. Uh, there's also this entire thing around uh, better control around their operating expenses. So what digital transformations are going to do, it's going to translate into uh, a better way to optimize the different network elements to become more independent, virtualized, rather than being the discrete network elements that they are today, and help with this kind of a virtualized communication and cloud infrastructure, which are going to bring down the costs. Then the third and the very important aspect for telecoms is the entire customer aspect. Now, digital transformation is going to allow better customer service, more personalized offerings. And this is in an industry where the customer churn rate is almost 2% per month. So, the customer becomes very important, and controlling the customer, retaining the customer uh, becomes a very important aspect of not only uh, increasing the revenues, but also controlling the cost, because the cost of acquiring a customer is almost 25x of the cost of retaining an existing customer in this industry. Uh, in healthcare, what we are looking at is that there has been almost a revolution in the last 1 year, accelerated by COVID, around telehealth. In 2019, only 11% of the healthcare services were provided through uh, telehealth. In 2020, driven through COVID phenomenon, 46% of the healthcare was provided through telehealth. And this is a impact that's, this is a trend that is going to stay and in fact even increase, because people have seen the value that can be brought through telehealth. Healthcare is also an industry where patients are increasingly deciding on the provider based on the quality of experience. So this is an industry where there is a huge promise, from better patient care through individualized treatment plans to looking at the management of healthcare network with seamless integrations and connectivity to specialized individuals or enterprises, all to be driven through digital transformations. And if you look at the overall aspect around both telecom and healthcare, uh, it's not just about uh, it's not just about the uh, the connectivity and the entire stuff around bigger revenues and all, there's a huge benefit for the end customers who will be there with better personalized plans in telecom and better personalized healthcare for the patients.
Yep. I think thanks, Amiteshwar. I think he has not only given the strategic view, but put it into the objective, where we are saying he spoke about 11% of healthcare services earlier to jumping around 46%. He also spoke about the new imperatives, even the better controls, savings, virtualizations, new vertical markets. So I think there is a strategic view as well as the objective view that has come across why we need digital transformation. So let's see that I think this digital transformation looks to be the soldier of fortune. But let's go to Arvind, who is one of the other strategic mind on the forum or on the panel. See, Arvind, if somebody has to challenge you with the question,
Mhm.
this all new markets and number growing up as well, good. How do you see it on a value paradigm? Does it bringing the value? Okay. Does the digital transformation brings the value? Okay. To the customer, to the market, to the players, or everyone? How do you take that question, Arvind?
Perfect. So I thank you, Virendra. So uh, thinking about the value from the digital transformation, right? I've been part of the financial journey. So being part of the banking and financial services for almost 21 years. So I'll touch more upon that. And this is something which Virendra is pretty close to all of us. We do transact, we do use mobile apps, we do use all sorts of trading related elements day in and day out. So these are the facets which we touch upon when we talk about the banking and when we talk about the overall finance. So taking a cue from where Amiteshwar left on the COVID journey, right? If we have to think about it, the way COVID came in, and just imagine if we were somewhere 10 years around back in time, would we be able to transact what you do today? Would we be able to work what we do today? And would we be able to get the benefits what we get out of the banking services today? Would it have been all possible? So COVID, of course, it kind of reinvented our business in the banking industry, but at the same time, accelerated the digitization or what we call digital transformation as a journey to the full throttle. Now, if we go from a layman as a end user customer to if we go to an enterprise, which is where the banking services are prevalent, and if we pick up any of the prime bank, right, how they are adopting and adapting to the overall digital transformation. It used to be the small, discrete initiatives within the bank where the tech upgrades used to happen or where there has to be some sort of ecosystem around some of the areas. But now, if you imagine the entire bank is in your pocket, and I won't go too far. Deepak did cited the example of Walkman vis-a-vis Apple. I would cite an example of Nokia vis-a-vis Apple. So how Apple changed the entire game plan that you literally carry the bank in your pocket all the time, and the mobile app what you use is something which is phenomenal. You can do all the transactions right from what we call opening an account to doing all sorts of compliance due diligence to getting your set of trades, advisory, getting your account set up, and even getting the reports what you need. Now that's again, and that's all coming at uh, customer being the pivotal to everything, and then the customer experience being seamless to you. Now, at the same time, if you look at the value addition from the enterprise perspective, right, that how the enterprise have evolved these entire digital transformation journey and how they have taken up those things is that I'll cite an example. Means it's very common to see the regulatory changes happening day in and day out, and there has been a lot of banks who have been either penalized because they have not complied back to those regulatory changes. But now, if you look at it, the way entire ecosystem within the bank is, there are four pivotal aspects to it. The first one being connected ecosystem, what we call a platform. Second being the processes, where how the seamless flow between the different departments or different apps happen. And then the third being the operations, where how the entire bank actually operate. And last but not the least, the customer who actually utilizes all these things on a day in and day out basis. Now, the regulatory things or regulatory changes impacts everyone, but how banks have really overcome that through the entire digital transformation journey. They have got the rules engine, they have got infused AIs, they have got the connected ecosystem which constantly tell them that what data set is being generated as an input, what data set is being given as an output, what are the different control points, what we can really check upon. And on top of it, there are a lot of sensitive information. If someone is politically exposed person, though he or she does not really refer back to it, but you are able to identify with the help of subtle data what is being captured around all the ecosystem. So that way, banks are able to transform themselves at the same time, comply in a better way, which if the transformation was not there purely from the digital perspective, it would have been a massively human capital centric equation, which would have been overly tedious to even comply back with. So, coming back to the point of the regulatory compliance, the banks used to pay fines and the compliance used to take years. Now those compliance checks have been put in place and they are pretty much real time. And banks comply and banks give the reports back to the regulators within a stipulated a week, months, or even whatever the regulators demand for. So which is a massive change how the enterprise used to operate, now how they operate, and what type of value we derive out of it. At the same time, they also derive out of the entire digital transformation. So I'll take a quick pause here, Virender, and I'll
Yeah,
hand it over back to you.
yeah, I think thanks, Arvind. It has been a quite insightful answer. If I look at the high level 3 4 points he covered, he initially started with COVID analogy, saying the value that has been brought by digital transformation in COVID days, in connecting people, in saving lives, and the another part that he was trying to say, it's a reinvented business coming full throttle. That the word he used. Okay, it's like the entire customer experience value that has got added. So we started with COVID value, then with the customer experience value. He also spoke about the regulatory value because the regulatory projects are getting delivered in a very less time, and the connected paradigm, the operational effectiveness, and all. Okay, I think we have a quite insightful answer to all of our questions. But let me take this debate a little forward. See, once we have these players for digital transformation, we have value, we have customers in it, but the core part of it is a data. Okay, so if I go to Deepak initially for this question. Okay, so Deepak, what is the role, okay, of the data in the digital transformation, or even some strategies involving data in digital transformation? Okay, can you comment on it, and then I'll take the quick comments of Amiteshwar as well as Arvind, because data is quite crucial. So I'd like to take this question all to everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes. If I have to look at it, like we say, data is a new oil, correct? And it's actually true, but then it also depends on, there's, we already call, like, there's a lot of data lakes and all which is coming for all Azure and all. And I make a joke and I say, if you're not careful with those your lakes, you will drown the analyst in that data lake. So it's very important that you can mine a lot of important stuff, but if you do not handle it right, then it, instead of a good thing, it can overwhelm people. So I think fundamentally there is a, as I was mentioning in my first part, internet is a first part which I see, where all the the access to customers was the first paradigm, I will say, which created all this digital revolution, I can call it. The second biggest part, in my opinion, is the compute and everything which is coming together, where you can actually look into the data and create value out of all those data. So which is very much possible in the current world where we are. So data becomes a very key ingredient, because you can, wherever you have test data, you can find out where the problems were, where the constraints are, and then you can change it back and then overlay with the right level of stuff which you can do. You can plan your capacity, you can plan your processes, you can look into where challenges were, you can look into where opportunities are, and a lot of digital strategies can be built in as part of the data part. I think what you can look into is, when a person goes to a retail store, what are they look, when they're coming to the website, you pretty much offer them a larger piece. So you can look into the data and then give a seamless experience of omni channel. You can look into data in showing, when you're showing it into a mobile platform, you have to be careful you don't overwhelm, compared to when they are looking onto the web browser. You can give them a overall experience where you can have better recommendations also coming together. So I think the way I look at it is data has become very important for you to give an experience. Now the users don't just want to buy, like they want to buy data. Say for example, a furniture in my new home, correct? I don't just need the furniture image, how it will look into my home. If you can create those kinds of stuff and present to a customer, I think that's what is the customer which is looking at in this new world. So not just keeping the data and the assets with you, but then putting that data and assets into some kind of insight which can help the customer or enterprise make decisions, make it efficient. I think these are some of the fundamental things which I think, economy, efficient, quick decision makings are what the digital transformations are promoting the transactions to. Back to you.
I think that's very well said, Deepak. Yeah, what you would like to add, Amiteshwar, on this?
So I'll start with what Deepak said about data being the new oil. I mean, if you look at uh, India this year, the software exports for India have been larger and bigger in terms of revenue than the largest oil exporting country on earth. And that tells you about the kind of importance of data, and through data, uh, what we are doing with software exports. But more importantly, unlike oil, data is perpetual, and therefore data resides. Oil is an exhaustible natural resource. You can consume it. Data, uh, you can recycle it. You can continue to use it, and in that, it is extremely important for uh, the different enterprises. Let me take up a couple of examples from what I was talking about earlier, from telecom industry and from healthcare industries. So look at telecom, right? If a company is trying to become digital, the voice calls will be transmitted digitally. The kind of services that they have built on top of data uh, allows them to make sure that there's a lot of revenue generation opportunities that are coming out of data services. And the infrastructure for telecom providers undergoes a change to become digital as well as software driven. Now, this also allows better customer service and back office operations. What's fueling all this is the underlying data and the analytics on top of this data. With data analytics, telecom providers can identify usage patterns of users, which can then be used to create hyper personalized mobile and internet plans. Data analytics is also allowing to monitor quality of network connectivity for voice and data, and to take preventive remediation measures before services are impacted. So the entire thing that I spoke about around OPEX reduction That is also based on insights drawn out of data to optimize and, if required, to transform the processes. Some of the, some of the telecom companies are using data as a monetization opportunity. So what they are doing is they are anonymizing the data and selling it for insights. So as an example, to retail companies to help them identify the next best location to open their uh, retail store. So data is not just about the technology aspect of digital transformation, but it is also providing the insight for optimizing or transforming the business processes and thereby leading to a complete digital transformation for an enterprise. There's a similarity in healthcare, better, data around treatment plans, using the data and analytics to predict the recurrence of health issues, looking at drug interactions, better pricing options and plans, connecting with the insurance companies to make it a win-win for the patients as well as for the insurance companies. So, data essentially just leads to new possibilities, a better way to optimize and personalize these services for the end clients,
Yeah.
more efficiency in the enterprise that is adopting it, and a better integrated enterprise with different partners, different providers, and bringing in the best uh, to the end customers.
Okay. Yeah. I I'll let Arvind go on the same topic. Arvind, you have to add any thoughts, and also if you want to add your thoughts on the long-term consequences of ignoring the data or the digital transformation.
Sure, thank you. So I'll continue where, so it's like from Deepak to Amit, Amit to me. So it started with data being new oil, then it became calls. So I'll say data is the new money coming in from the finance. So data is absolutely all about, it's like we call it data is new money, of course, because we come from that industry. So I'll take a few examples like how our esteemed other panelists have taken, right? So if you look at it from the finance purely from the banking industry perspective, as a layman, we can just take ourselves, right?
Yeah.
The way the entire onboarding, when we say customers are being onboarded to the bank, we call it a client lifecycle management. It's a customer journey. It used to be all either in papers or through some sort of phone calls or through some sort of uh, tissue papers being left over there that I need this amount of money and all that, or checks and everything. This whole thing has been so swiftly digitized, right from onboarding to your compliance due diligence or ACDD, AML checks to how your accounts are being managed and advised, and then how they are being closed, right? At each relevant step, there is a significant data being captured. Now, that data is being used very intelligently. If you are trying to look at, let's say, for example, what's the ticker price on the NASDAQ for some AAPL as a ticker, right? You can just simply use the chatbots. So these chatbots are nothing but the digital imprints of the entire humanoids, which provides you whatever you need as a response. And they are being becoming more and more intelligent as they have been kind of trained with more set of data around Virendra or around Deepak or around Amit. So that way, they are giving you more personalized experience. At the same time, they are reducing your turnaround time and they are tracking and getting you the right set of solution at a time when you need it. So that's just one way to look at it from the data angle. The another angle I'll tell you, which is something my kids were talking about it, that the scientific fiction, what we call it nowadays, right, is now becoming a scientific fact. So looking at the Matrix as a movie, I'll just took an analogy from there. The way the entire the concept of robo came in, right? The same concept of robo has been kind of evolving. We call it either robo traders or robo advisors in the finance industry, wherein which used to be an algorithmic trading, which is kind of being derived out of the rules engine. But now it's been that if you want to open a wealth account, which is with many of the esteemed bank within India or in Singapore or outside, There are robo-advisors available, and you can give a corpus of money, which won't just work on the rules, but they will actually leverage critical data across the ecosystem, how you want to set your portfolio, and then they will trade on behalf of that. So this is how the entire industry is evolving. You see, from where it started, from where it has come now. So there's a lot of data which is going in. Now, again, coming back to my dearest topic of compliance, which is AML, anti-money laundering, right? It's nothing but it's all about how the data flows everywhere, right
Yeah,
from any sanction to any kind of penalization to any kind of reports being generated. It's nothing but it's all about data, how the bank is being capturing. So I
yeah,
would put it like this, that data is at the heart of everything, and the transformation, it's around it has to leverage the data and its fabric of it. Otherwise, it's irrelevant. So that's how it goes. Now that's something which is more about the value part of the data which we spoke about. You
yeah,
also asked that what will happen if basically you literally asked me a question that if we are not adopting or not transforming, then are we really being relevant? Means whether these enterprise will be relevant or not. And at the same
yeah,
time, the way the entire mechanics is changing or the ecosystems are changing, our human capital also has to change and reskill ourselves. So it's a question of being relevant for everyone. Either we perform, we transform, or we perish. So that's how I'll put it.
yeah. Okay. Thanks. I think this is quite comprehensive and insightful answer. Okay. We started with data with oil. Deepak spoke about the customer experience that data brings in. Amiteshwar added a value saying that it's how crucial that data is, a role that data is playing. He has given a number of examples around the telecom or even given the healthcare. And even Arvind provide the compliance and the other aspects of it. See, just to add the popularity dimension to this final concluding answer, I'll say, see, if you look at the latest strategies, Microsoft used something called as the marquee strategy when they launched the Xbox. The only this was based on the data, because the what the strategy says is you use existing market player to enter into data. So what they did is they acquired a marketing existing player and then went into data. And this, how did they arrive at it? Based on data. Amazon, when launched the portal, used the strategy called producers evangelism. And initially, it was a bookstore. And what it said is, you build a platform, and the platform can be used to sell everything else. But how this was arrived? This was arrived based on the consumer behavior and the data. Okay, so anything, I think we have covered almost all aspects of this question. Okay, and I'll go to the next question to Amiteshwar. Okay, see, if we have to take the if we have to drill this even further, because the way we are going it step by step, we said what is digital transformation, then we said what are the business drivers benefit, we went to the value question, then we said what is the major part data question, and the third pillar that I'm coming to you is a customer. Okay, so the customer is one of the major pillars of it, and the question is how customer are getting benefited with this entire digital transformational wave. Any thoughts? Because yeah,
Thanks, Virendra. So, when it comes to customers, we have spoken earlier on this call about the personalization aspect of it. Whether it is,
yeah,
we spoke about telecom and we spoke about the finance industry, spoke about the healthcare part of it. Uh, you know, so apart from personalization, which touches and cuts across retail, cuts across all the different industries, there's this entire aspect of the ease of doing business for the end customer. Now, whether it is ordering a product, whether it is getting insights into when are they going to receive a product, whether it is about the pricing options. A lot of this subscription based pricing and all is underlying fueled through digital transformation. So you look at all the different aspects of uh, the touch points that an end customer has with the enterprises, and you would find an element of digital transformation that is helping the customers. Let me give a very quick example. There's a there's a there's a very large US company that used to ship products to its end customers, and because the way you recognize revenue uh, is based upon uh, you know how or when the goods are getting shipped versus when are they getting received by the customers. The rules vary from country to country. Sometimes you recognize the revenue when it reaches the end customer. Sometimes you recognize the revenue when it reaches the customs. Sometimes you recognize the revenue just when you ship the product. And the challenge over here was that the company used to ship the products and then forecast a time to the end customer saying that you're going to receive this product in X number of days, which was based upon the SLAs that they had with the different logistic companies. And invariably, there used to be slippages over there. Invariably, the predictions used to go wrong. The prediction accuracy within plus minus 1 day was only about 56% at that point of time. So they, they then used uh, this entire journey of digital transformation, looked at the data, built in predictive analytics algorithms on top of it, applied those, and they were able to then increase the efficiency of predicting when an end customer would receive the goods that were shipped by them uh, within a plus minus 3 hour window, not even a 1 day, within a
Oh,
plus
yeah.
minus 3 hour window, with an accuracy of 89%. So it just tells you the uh, kind of revolution that this has brought for the end customers, and this is across industries, right? Personalized plans. You go to Amazon, you take a look at it, you get a list of products that you should buy. Netflix, you get a list of recommendations in terms of movies. That is all being enabled through the digital transformation that these companies have taken up as a journey. Some were born digitally.
Oh, okay. I think that's a great answer because he almost covered all points. Well, he started with value, then he came to quality, then he spoke about speed, he even spoke about convenience, prediction accuracy, and prediction accuracy of 3 hours. I think all the points are being very well covered. If I just take this our questions even further, okay, and go to Arvind about see, Arvind, we spoke about he spoke about how customers are getting benefited. If I take that further and say how the journey of SMEs is getting impacted, small and medium enterprises in a supply chain, okay,
Mhm.
how digital transformation is impacting the SMEs in a supply chain.
Okay, it's a tough one, but it's manageable, wherein I can say that. Given so how first of all, if you look at the entire supply chain concept, right? I'm not sure if a lot of people are familiar with the trends of Industry 4.0. It's a very common term being used nowadays. That how we started our industry. If you can just correlate back, go some 40, 50 years back, wherein human intensive manual labor was the one which we used to call it as industry. Then it became machine led, wherein we brought in some sort of automation. Then the machine became a lot automated and we created what we call assembly lines, right? And those assembly lines are now kind of fully transformed and what we call as smart solutions. So there are smart factories, there are smart, what do you call the warehouses, and I will just use the term again back. The scientific, all the fiction is kind of becoming scientific facts. So if you look at it, the entire SME population, which basically heavily used to rely back on as a human intensive, right? This is being kind of automated. And I will again keep refer back to Amitesh because he gave really very powerful examples wherein most of the supply chain, what is the predominant element of the supply chain is that what is your predictability of the deliveries, whether it's a predictability of an Amazon delivery or whether it's a predictability of an entire enterprise moving COVID's all sorts of pills from one location all the way to the entire different continent. So there are two elements over here. One element is that there is a lot of data being captured. Second element is there is a lot of transparency which has come because of this data. So you are able to get a very clear, predictable answers. And these answers are kind of driving you to get you the outputs what you really want. And ultimately, if you think about it, digital transformation is nothing but what your enterprise wants to be. If you are able to map it out very clearly, that if you have a right set of data, which could come through all sorts of sensors within the SME areas, if you have a right set of automation in place, which can come through the connected networks, connected machines, connected bots, if you have a right set of human capital, which again coexist with the bots, what we call cobots nowadays, wherein you have an entire automation on the warehouse, and you kind of get all the set of reports what you really need. You are able to drive a lot of value out of it in a much clear and transparent way. And that will at least tell you what you really want to get out of this entire digital transformation. And I believe all these things would lead to a lot of purely from an SME sector, if I just look at it, right? Because there has
Yeah.
been a lot of reliance on the human capital. All these elements like will yield a lot of ROI purely because you are automating so much of the things day in and day out, and you are getting so much of predictability coming out of it. So this is something which I would conclude it that that's how the supply chain can get benefited, and specifically the SME area.
Yeah, okay. Arvind, thanks a lot. I think that's very well covered. I will now go to one of the next aspect to Deepak. See, Deepak, I'm talking to you for the two things, okay, for this taking this journey forward. One is the big enterprise, everybody is doing a
Mm.
digital transformation, okay. First thing is it really happening and are they getting a value? And the other part is because there is a you say there is a hype, there is a lot of beating the drum and hype at one level and the real value at the another level. And the second thing is what are the key factors, where you can measure key success factors, or you call it as KPIs in your term, saying that my digital transformation is successful. Okay. So if you have to answer these two things, one is big enterprise value shift happening. Is it really? Do you see it? And the success factors of it.
Thank you so much. Yes, and I have been thoroughly enjoying the conversation with my colleagues Amit and Arvind. So your question around is the value shift happening in the big organizations? I think my answer is a emphatic yes. And those who are not bringing those changes, good luck to them for the next 5, 10 years. Yeah. So few of the things as a leader, because we all of us are playing mid-level to a senior leadership roles in organization. I think one of the thing which we have to see is how the organization. So there's a digital transformation mindset and the preparation which is required for the company to at least go through the journey. I think that's a very important aspect and wanted to cover that first, and then I'll cover about the how the company sees is getting seen from outside world. So one of the thing which happens whenever you start talking about, we are going to transform the way if the leader is not making it a excitement and joyful journey, 80 to 90% of the people will get hit by the panic button. Yeah, what will happen to my job? What will happen to my skill?
Hmm.
Etc. 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 So if 1.5 trillion investment of digital transformation and only 900 and more than 900 billion has failed, that's one of the top reasons for it. Yeah, so you need to work very clearly in your mind as a leader that you create an environment of joy, learning, excitement, and not create a panic button. It's very important. Second is you also should plan for how the organization will move so that existing enterprise, existing employees are tooled for the new requirements, as well as you will be able to get some experts from outside. So you should be able to churn some people and get some new blood into the work stream. Yeah. So those are very, very important. Third is, I think, very important is which organizations again ignore is again going to the value of data. You should know the data about your enterprise very accurately, and I unpack that for you. So we should definitely have an inventory of what are the systems which your company has. So software systems, what are the interfaces, where data is coming from, where data is actually, and also what are the processes which are actually then storing and changing the data. I think such kind of inventories are very much important, which can be the metadata for making quick decisions. Once you have that, these are prerequisite. Then you should rationalize what in your portfolio is intersection and what is actually missing. I have seen companies where there are 8 to 9 CRM solutions, and there are gaping holes for certain functions which don't even exist. Once you have mapped this, I think then is when the game of digital transformation and all comes, because then you can, as a leader, define based on your end state how you are going to actually create the journey for the team. And there my recommendation is, and what has worked in large enterprise and even the mid-level enterprises, and I can share with the audience here, is don't go for a big bang approach. Yeah. uh, Go in terms of small pockets of work, like an MVP or a POCs, get it done,
Yeah.
validate it, and then once you validate it, then go for the next iteration. So, you will be able to get instant feedback from your internal customer, which are your employees, your vendor ecosystem. You will be able to get it instant feedback from the real customers, which will be actually getting. And if you see, yeah, there is an adoption, you will be able to take it to the new level. I think these are definitely the ways the enterprises, successful enterprises, are actually capturing the data. They're creating a strategy for digital transformation, and then doing it incrementally. I think not going with digital transformation is not a choice right now. I think it's more of how you actually set your internal process, prepare your people, create a roadmap of how you will go and execute it. I think few of the things which are happening is, which I can see is, say for example, I'm hoping that the 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 the, the millennial kids which are going to come, or the next generation, the way they have so much of exposure on the mobile phones, if they have to go to a school selection, they would like to see how a class will operate, and so kind of simulations needs to be there. Products needs to be checked on how the AR VR, I'm hoping, will assist, how it will fit, not only tell the size, the color, and I can just make some quick decisions on the fly. Furniture, I was already giving an example. So I think the enterprises which are moving in this transit are the ones which will be successful. I think people who will not actually change, I am thinking they will perish. So that constitute the first question. It's a long answer, but I try to cover it more
Yeah.
from a
No,
perspective.
I,
Can I
I,
go
I
to the
think that,
second answer also, Viren?
yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
And then you said that the second question you said was
The
uh,
success factors or the KPIs.
the three success factors or the KPIs, whether it is working or not. I think the biggest why what I will say is, if in case if your customers are feeling connected, and they are leaving good CSATs, and there are happy customers, I think that to me is the single most biggest KPI I should measure whether my transformations are working. Second is that how accurate and how right level of recommendations, etc., which I have tried to give in it to my customer, that you can see, because based on the outcome you can see whether my recommendations, whether whatever I suggested, whether it worked or not. I think the third part which I will say is, and because the world has become very open, as long as there are no security breaches, concerns are not there, and your customers are feeling safe with you, I think those are the three things I will say whether your digital transformations are working or not.
Okay. Yeah, fine. I think that's a quite good answer. In the interest of the time, I'll just go to the next question. And the next question is nothing but the most popular trend that is going on, AI and ML. Okay. And this question is to all of you. Okay. So we'll start with Amiteshwar. So if you look at it, the role of AI and ML, because everybody has a huge budget for AI and ML, every organization. The question we have is, what is the role of AI ML into digital transformation? What it would play in future, or how do you see it? Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Virendra. I think AI and machine learning are going to revolutionize the entire landscape uh, around digital transformation. In fact, uh, digital transformation is just laying the foundation. AI and ML are going to help by looking at and using the insights and providing better insights to different aspects of business. So, whether it is uh, the ability to predict an outage in their entire supply chain, whether it is the ability to predict and to say that manufacturing can get disrupted, whether it is something to just predict the outage of servers, or whether it is things around looking at and recommending plans, saying that here is a plan that can be better. This is a better customized plan for the end customer. This is a better option for you to opt for as a product mix. This is a better way for you to repackage the products and take that forward. Assimilating the feedback and channelizing it into useful insights from different sources, whether it is social media, whether it is
Yeah,
all the different channels, and personalizing things tremendously for the end customers as well as for people within the organization. So AI and machine learning have got tremendous amount of power. Machine learning to create the insights, and AI then to really draw the conclusions out of it and take it uh, to the different stakeholders.
yeah. Thanks, Arvind. Would you like to go to the role of AI ML here?
Yeah, I can cover upon, so the way how I see it, right, from the banking perspective, I'll touch a little bit on bank because I really am very close to it. So how I am seeing banks are kind of how the AIML is really infusing in the banks is that there are a lot of small fintechs which are coming up, and they are bringing in the way how Amiteshwar said it, the insights into whatever you are trying to do. So if I'm allowed to use, because it's all publicly listed fintechs, right? So one of the fintech is Tukitaki, wherein they bring in the entire concept of what you do as part of the entire money laundering. They kind of intelligently always transact whatever transaction you are doing, they're tracking it in a way and they're predicting it and transparently telling it back to the bank that is this particular transaction really a right transaction or not, whether it is obfuscated or not, and then whatever data around that particular transaction which we can capture. So like that, what I'm seeing within the banking industry, right? The data is, or rather, not just the data. Data is just, as Deepak said, it's just basically an oil. But if we just look at what insights it bring in, uh, I have just seen that each of the department benefits a lot of it. There are concepts of data lakes. There are concepts of all sorts of the way you manage the channels, the way you manage the data coming across the channels. So there is tons of data which is coming in from all sides. Now, there are mechanics to consume that data, and then there are mechanics to get the insights out of that data. Now, each of the department, as I said, right? So I just use the entire money laundering, which is basically the risk management department of the bank. They benefit a lot out of it, that how banks could really control their risk governance in a much appropriate way.
Yeah,
Like that, customer service, the chatbots, what we spoke about, it's all data driven. how you can really give a smooth customer experience to the end user. And last but not the least, right? Whatever hyper personalization that can happen. So when I'm transacting it on any kind of transaction, I'm getting so many different insights on the app, and it's all coming through the data what is being hyper personalized for the transactions what generally I perform. So if I'm buying something, they will say, hey, if you are going to buy this particular XYZ apparel, why don't you use this particular credit card because it will get you that X percentage of discount, and then it goes on. So there is a lot of these are the three elements which I can critically think about as an end user, and as an enterprise, there are multiple benefits out of it.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Arvind. Yeah, Deepak, you want to take a shot on it? Yeah.
Very quickly, because my friends have covered most of the things. Yes, AI
Yeah.
and ML play a very large role in the transformation, but I mentioned it is just one part of it. I think the organization readiness, which I mentioned earlier, that's also a very important part. And then also the change in processes. Think of it the way the Ubers have evolved, from a yellow taxi to currently what it is. All those things were possible is using data, but also with the change in processes and then using the data to arrive. So I think I completely agree, and I don't want to repeat the same point. Yeah, we can actually give more accuracy to our customer about when the service will be delivered. We can also look into how the service will be delivered, as well as we can avoid any kind of fraud, as well as uh, you know uh, cyber security aspect of it, which is becoming very important for all of us. Yeah, because what is happening is, see, imagine that you know every day we as leaders are making our systems robust, but then there are other sides where the hackers who are also becoming even more smarter than us. So the journey is always a catch up kind of a thing, correct? So
Yeah.
uh, you may be smart today, but then there are smarter people, and you have to always get into the other. And this the new data, the data and the technologies are going to help us offset some of the risk, is what I will say as a concluding point.
Yeah, I think thank you, Deepak. That was quite brilliant answer. So let see. The thing is, on as we have almost covered everything, I'll just say one thing about the AIML. In the banks today, we have more than 400, 500 prediction models, but we have three humans who are analyzing the outcome of it. So we are not allowing the AI to make decision because we have 15 people in many banks. We have 15, 20 people team to analyze the outcome of the model, and then these people will decide whether that decision will happen or not. So we look for that era where there is no human intervention to the outcome of the AI or the machine learning. Okay, and hopefully that era will come. Okay. Let's go to the one of the other things. If I have to quickly give you one minute to each of you and say three digital transformation trends, that if you have to list down three, one, two, three, one by one, starting from Deepak, what they could be.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think very quickly on the three trends, I think because we are talking about connected world on mobile, you as a company should serve all channels all time with right level of data.
Yeah,
So that to me is the first trend, omni-channel connections. Second
yeah,
to me is, again, as I mentioned, because the banks are now getting work from home, you know you have opened up your offices, big hush hush, no, this is behind the barrier and all, and now everybody is working from home trying to do remote working, correct? So the biggest thing to me is, how do you keep transactions secure with moving on cloud, with moving, so cyber security is my biggest second trend, if I have to put it, as you are getting digital and transforming. Yeah. Third, which I'll say, is ensure that whatever you are recommending, ensure that do some audit on this. And though you said that robots are doing and there's a QA, I think it is still has some value in that, till the consciousness of humans
yeah,
evolve even more for the machine to develop machines which will take it over. I think still that checks and balances of whether recommendations are really helping the customer. That to me is a third trend. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So I think Amiteshwar, what will be your top three?
I'll say, platform economy as the first one,
Yeah.
uh, new monetization models as the second
Yeah.
one, and the third one I'll call as the entire area of personalization and individualization.
Okay. So we got earlier omni-channel AI. Now we got the economy personalization. Yeah, Arvind, add your two, three. The next three. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think both Deepak and Amit has already covered quite a few. I'm
Yeah.
still going ahead with my favorite, which is cloud. Cloud
Yeah.
with security remains something which is on every CIO's mind right now. Of course,
Yeah.
within bank, the adoption is a little slow, but it is still pretty much everyone's mind how we can grow the cloud, how we can get in the cloud. And to a certain extent, COVID has been a big help. So
Yeah.
with the work remote, virtual work environment, behind
Yeah.
the barriers, everything getting a bit loosened, cloud has
Yeah.
been at least gaining traction. That's one. Second, from the digital transformation, it's nothing unless the humans are well trained on it. So I would put it that having a right human reskilled capital management is pivotal for your digital transition strategy. If you don't have
Yeah.
it as part of the entire strategy, all your KPIs will fall short. So that's the second thing which I think is in my mind. And the third thing, the way entire operating models which are evolving, the kind of bringing in the agility to the model, whether you bring it through rapid app development or whether you bring it through any other alternate pod models, but it should not be to cut the corners that I don't want to draft the documents, but it should be an actual implementation of agile practices to bring the best out of the relevant enterprise in the fastest possible way is something which we should really bank upon. These are the three trends what I would put it for.
Yeah, yeah, I think audience got the flavor of almost everything: cloud, virtualization, personalization, AI, everything has got covered up. Okay. So I think entire digital transformation, you say trend, shop, or characteristics are out. Let me go to the, because we have been so much of subjective discussion. Let me put to a couple of two, three, just an objective questions, just to lose this discussion up. Is the digital transformation must for non-customer facing companies? There are companies which are like, if somebody supply the uh, what you can say, the spare parts to an automobile company. Okay, he is not a customer facing. His product get used to some bike in get used in some bike, and he has nothing to do with the end customer. So does digital transformation has a need for um, every company? Yes or no?
Uh,
Yes.
I I would go with yes.
Yes. What about you, Deepak?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I tried to give you an example to get one no, but I think I'm quite unsuccessful. It's all of you are very intelligent people, so it's yes. Okay. The next one is digital transformation. Okay. See, there is an area called real estate police administration. It is said that in police administration we have the laws of British people. In the real estate we just got RERA. So how do you see, do we think the larger digital transformation is needed there? Yes or no, Deepak?
Yes. Okay, Deepak, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I if it's a answer of a yes and no, definitely yes. Yeah.
okay.
Same.
And see, another part that I want to say is many people misinterpret digital transformation as automation,
Hmm.
right? So the thing is, um, uh, do you think still there are larger section who is misinterpreting is that as an automation in today's age? Do you think yes or no? Is it misinterpreted as automation?
If I can go,
Yeah,
yes, to some extent, people misuse digital transformation as just automation. It needs to have
yeah,
the organization alignment plus the
yeah, Yeah.
chain management plus the process optimization or reinventing themselves. Yes. Over to
What
you,
about
Amit.
you? Yeah.
Yes, and I'll just add that sentence that the automation is an end product of underlying digital transformation.
Yeah.
But there are another lot of other aspects also that come out of and accrue out of a digital transformation, not just automation.
Yeah.
What about you, Arvind?
I will put it like automation is one of the pivotal pillars. There means, but there are other pillars as well. Means you can't just exclude automation out. Or so how I would put it is that there are prime pillars like cloud, there are prime pillars like data, there are prime pillars like industry, what we call IoT of it, and then there are other pillars like automation. So in tandem, an organization needs to see a business value and then need to capitalize on what pillars are required to create the digital transformation journey, and that's how it would kind of pivot towards.
Yeah. Okay, fine. As we are coming to end of our discussions, and this is for the Knowledge Review, which is the educational magazine. Let me bring out one question which is only for students. Okay. If you have to give an advice to the youngster, okay, who want to make a career in IT, make a career in digital transformation, and I'm adding a child question to it. Do you think something named as a digital transformation as a subject need to be taught in engineering colleges, or some diploma named the digital transformation? And your advice plus the answer to this my child question I'm looking for from all of you. Can we start with Arvind?
I would recommend that yes, it should be. So everything is value oriented, right? So
Yeah.
our courses should be aligned to the value driven. So if digital transformation is bringing value, which is kind of interconnecting, as I just explained, right? The pivots of cloud, the pivots of
Yeah.
technology landscape, the pivots of data. How do you interwoven them and create a value out of it? And that's what the transformation vision, what the I would say the students or the pupils should be able to understand. The early they adopt to it, the early they will create a fintech, and then the early they will create a vision which would be very different from what we are thinking right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Arvind. Can yeah, Amit. Yeah, Amit sir, can you go ahead? Yeah.
So globally, around 15% of the enterprises have become digital. There's still
Yeah.
85% of the enterprises that are yet to become digital. Now, there are elements of digital like data and artificial intelligence and machine learning which have become courses. So, if you go to the
Yeah.
colleges, you will find
Mm.
courses. There are engineering
Yeah.
colleges that have started offering uh, bachelor's degree in artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
earlier that just used to be part of a computer science course or an IT course.
Yeah.
So that change is happening, right? I can see that the education industry is also transforming itself. But
Yeah.
it makes sense in some shape or form to cover digital transformation as part of the curriculum because it touches every aspect of what we will be doing with respect to the enterprises, with respect to the consumers, with respect to all the different stakeholders that we come in touch with in around this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Deepak sir, you want to go ahead with it?
Ye- Yeah, to me, that degree. So I agree with Arvind and Amiteshwar completely. I think that the degree kind of a need is needed for a people who started 2 decades ago, like us, correct? But when I look into the new people right now, they wake up, they're born in this new tech culture, new
Yeah.
transformation. I think if there is a course like this, it will be a fun course for them because they will be able to relate everything which is
Mm.
happening, and there's
Yeah.
no change for them. It's more like learning more skills for how I will operate in the new
Yeah.
world. So I
Yeah.
am sure if there are more focused, the whole physics, chemistry, mathematics, those are important aspects in btex and all, but how much did I actually use any of those courses in my 25 years of
Yeah.
professional life? That's a big question. But if
Okay.
there are things like that, I'm sure people will come to the class, unlike us, not bunk the most of the classes, so it
Yeah.
will be very
Okay.
exciting, I will
Yeah.
say.
Thank you. I think there is one another aspect of the question which I'll give you one line each one of them. Just say one line for the youngsters who want to do an IT career. If it was just one line advice, Deepak, what would you say?
Be serious and go for it.
Go for it. Yes, Amiteshwar.
I think you're born in a privileged time in a privileged world in
Yeah.
the and make the most of it.
Make
And
the most.
technology is part of our lives
Yeah.
in any case, so make the most of it.
Yeah. Okay. Arvind.
Keep learning, keep transforming.
Okay. Keep learning, keep transforming. I think that's a great words of wisdom from all of three of them. Yeah, I have to sum up this. I think we have covered this topic quite comprehensively. There are a lot of insightful things that came from Deepak. There is a business focus as well as the objective numbers that Amiteshwar gave. There is a lot of strategy and the compliance, security, and the other customer points that Arvind put forward. We started with why we need digital transformation. Then we said what are drivers. Then we covered market. Then even said, is it really giving a value? Once we give to value, we go to data. Then we spoke about customer. Then we even said, is it helping big enterprise? Then we spoke about the SMEs, the middle enterprise. And finally, we even touched upon the objective segment and how it could, what is the one line advice for the students. I think this has been a quite great discussion and incredible speakers. And I think they're, you could see in their answers, this will be quite useful to the students of knowledgereview.com. So I personally thank to Knowledge Review for giving us this opportunity. Thank you, everybody. Deepak, Amiteshwar, Arvind, it was great to have you on this panel. It was learning for me as well, and hopefully we'll keep having these sessions at hoc. So thank you very much for joining, and I will close this session now.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Virendra. Pleasure
Yeah,
is all ours. Looking forward to see you again.
yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.